Hi, I'm Judy Peters with Muralist Judy Peters. I'm here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be teaching you how to do a children's nursery mural, and the theme is fairies. So first what I did was I came up with a plan of the room. I measured the size of the room and the area that I was going to be working in, and we came up with this plan. And I call these the paint sketches. So we have the fairies in there, we put flowers in there. We're also going to have a cherry blossom tree in the corner of the room. And the next step after that is I actually drew out in chalk the cherry blossom tree, which is very hard to see right now, but there's a fairy up in the tree, there's some butterflies, and we just have the outlines based on this sketch. But into bigger size. I drew it. There's also going to be a little stem there. There's going to be a flower there underneath the window. And then over here we have our, isn't she cute? We did, started one of the fairies and painting it. There's also going to be a fairy coming down here. And then there's going to be butterflies. So I have my paints all ready to go on my workstation here with my paints all ready to go. And we have our palette here. So we're going to start painting. So now we're going to paint the vine. And I have like 3 different colored greens here. There's the dark green, there's a pea green, and there's this really light friendly green. So I'm going to be starting with the basic vine first. The trick to this too is just try not to stop your lines. Have a free-flowing brush. I like to always add a little bit of water too. The darker one is going to add more of the depth, where the lighter one will be more for highlighting. And so here, the leaves, I'm going to go a little bit lighter with the green for the leaves. I'm just going to, this is a fun plan for the room, because it's for a children's room. So most of the detail is in the fairy. And this is the focal point of the whole project. So I wanted to give her a little bit more detail than the others. There'll also be flowers on this vine. You'd be surprised how little amounts of color can really finish a project nicely and add a lot to the project. So you just want to continue with this color scheme. I'm adding a little darker green at the bottom of the stems because the light would hit at the top, and the deeper color will give it more of a shadowed effect on the bottom. Okay, so now we're finishing off the wings with some glitter paint, and it really is adding a special touch. And this is pretty simple. You just paint it right on top of the existing art that you just created. But when the light hits it, it just glitters. I'll also be applying this to the butterflies as well. And you know, after a while, you get pretty fast at it. You just don't want to make sure you go outside the lines. Stay inside the lines, not outside the lines. This one is iridescent, this paint. There's different glitters you can get. This one picks up the light a lot, And I did consider the base coat when choosing this particular glitter, because some glitters, like for example gold, would be too dark, silver would be too cool, but this has like rainbow colors in it. You know, green, yellow, pink. It's just perfect. We also finished the vine. I put some pink flowers in the vine. I used, like I said, the 3 different greens and some brown. Just added some flowers on the ends and put stems underneath them. I'm just about ready here. One tip for the glitter is make sure the brush is clean, because we tend to use several brushes when we're doing a mural, and it can't have any paint on it because it'll just show right through. And there you go, the glitter. Okay, so here we are doing some butterflies, and this one's going to be a really pretty teal blue. And I just drew the shape out prior to painting it. One thing I want to mention is the colors are so important. You want to consider the base coat color when choosing the colors. In fact, I have this swatch that I use. This is actually kind of like a mixing palette, if you will. When I put the colors on here, they turn out differently than if I were to put them on white. So I always consider the base coat when choosing colors. And you do get an eye for that after a while. Like, I just knew this color was going to be really awesome. Okay, now I'm going to paint his little body inside. I'm doing it very graphically because it's for a children's room. So I think I'm going to use like a light brown with a tad of black. Make it kind of a charcoal. So I'm using brown to add to the gray. Brown will keep it from turning too blue. Okay, so this is his little head. Isn't he cute? Frayed brushes are just a pain, so I'm going to switch brushes. That does happen to you while you're on a mural. And a lot of times, if you're working with acrylics, for example, they do tend to wear out the brushes. So it's important to always keep them in water, as I do. As you can see, this bucket of water. And, you know, sometimes I just mix the colors right on the palette. I'll have a lot of colors to work with, and then mixing them. Okay, so we're going to do his little antennas. Isn't he just cute? I'm having so much fun. There'll be more butterflies going into this corner. I think I'm going to add some splashes of color, so I'm going to get a more intense blue. Let's see, what color do we have here? Cobalt blue. Another favorite of mine. It's a little more intense than it'll look good on top of the teal. And butterflies have little markings on their bodies. Oh, we'll put a little bit of color in there. Little dots. After this dries, I'm going to put some glitter on top of the butterflies as well. And I might outline this a little bit to make it pop a little better. So I'm going to take that darker blue, cobalt, and I'm just going to do a little silhouette on the outside to give it some depth. Not everywhere, just, you know, where the light would hit it. It would cast a shadow underneath. Isn't it so sweet? I'm just enjoying myself. That's the beauty of painting. So in a few minutes, I will put the glitter on as soon as that dries. So with the acrylic paint, it does dry rather quickly, so you can put the glitter on rather quickly after it dried. And it just really adds a nice accent to a children's room. I'm not going to cover the dark blue areas because I do want those areas to stand out, and the glitter will cover that. So I'm trying to go around that a little bit. The darker areas I'll leave free. There we go. A glitter butterfly. And from the side, you really can see that glitter. Okay, so now here we have all the butterflies have been completed, on this side, that is. And after the fact, I put the glitter on all of them. So it's really coming along. So here we are, and we're going to do the sunflower, the friendly sunflower, as I call him, because he has little white eyes. So I'm going to start first with the brown inside the sunflower. Chalk this off first. This was pretty basic and easy. Where the eyes are going to be white, I'm going to leave some negative space in there. Negative space would be what you don't paint. I made this part of the flower more narrow, like a narrow oval. So before this dries, I'm going to continue to do the white petals. So I have plenty of white paint left. I like to use a nice bright yellow, white, maybe with a dash of yellow in it. So I'm going to take my strokes, follow the petals that I drew, keep them in alignment with one another. Remember, always have fun when you're painting. That's why we paint. That's why children's rooms are so much fun. Because they're free. It's free painting. Like free flowing, rather. This is turning out so cute. So after I do the white, because it's a sunflower, I'm going to apply a yellow on top. So more or less what I'm doing here is I'm creating a primer. So here we go with the white primer that I used. Now I'm going to color it with the yellow. And because I used that white primer, it's going to allow the yellow to pop on top of the lilac colored base coat. This is our final finished piece of the sunflower. Isn't it cute? So here we have the second fairy, who's in blue, who's flying downward. Got some more butterflies done. And over here, we finished our sunflower. And now I'm working on a stem over here. And I think I'm going to paint that flower. So now we're doing the center of the flower. And once again, I'm doing my white primer. And why is that? Because I want it to be nice and yellow. When I go to put the yellow on, you're not going to see purple, the base coat underneath it. And then while that's drying, I'm going to do a little stem. We're going to do the color green, the light green, following the chalk line. Try to keep your hand steady. Stop. And I may take a darker color to give some depth. So I'm using a dark green and some brown. And where the shadow would be is where I'm going to place that darker color. And when the stem is curved like this, it really gives a lot of nice depth. There we go. So as far as the leaves, again, I'm going to use the lighter color, using a curved brush stroke. Pull the brush back. That one automatically had a darker green in it. Sometimes accidents are a great thing, because that was like perfect, because it had the dark green in it. There we go. It's so cute. This one a little more curved. Okay, back with the dark green, the two color. Sometimes if you mix like two colors of green, it gives a little more uniqueness to it. Instead of having one color that would be more intense, the brown tones it down a bit. Okay, pause. Yellow to the white primer. And I'll probably end up adding a little white to highlight again. So kind of like white, yellow, and then white again. Probably gonna add a little sparkle to the center of the flower. I have sparkle paint, as I said earlier, and I think that's gonna be really cute. To give it some sparkle, bring it to life. Didn't it turn out great, that flower? We ended up putting the yellow on top of the white, as I said, and that really pops, stands out. So next I think I'm going to work on the fairy that's in the tree, in the cherry blossom tree. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start painting some basic brown where the branches are, because I want her to overlap it. In other words, I don't want to paint her, then paint the branches. It's going to look funny. So if I paint the branches, then it will, the word I'm looking for is, it'll look more natural. So I'm going to start first with the brown paint. Oh, I want to get some brown with some rust in there. So here we have, I've done some of the branches around the fairy, as I mentioned earlier. And now I'm going to paint her wings. And I'm going to use kind of like a pointed brush. And you just kind of follow the lines that I had painted earlier. And I'm also going to be utilizing the wall color as part of the color of this wing. Like where the shadowing of the wing would be, I'm going to use the actual wall base coat. Let some of the paint color show through. A steady hand helps too. I mean, just being relaxed. And now the branches look like where they're supposed to be, instead of just like stopping at the wing. They're in the backdrop where the wing overlaps it. For the inside of the wing there, on the lower panel, I'll use a smaller brush. And we're going to let that dry, and then I'm going to do another coat. So here we are on the third fairy, and she has brown hair, a pink dress, a pink flower, and now I'm putting the glitter, the final touches on the wing. She's up in the tree. This will be a cherry blossom tree, and as I mentioned earlier, I did do the tree behind her first, so it would look a lot more natural as her being in the forefront. Each fairy had a little bit of a different look to them. She's more of a sophisticated looking fairy, kind of proud up in the tree. And this glitter is great. When the light hits it, you can see it. You won't really see it until the light hits it. So here we are at the end of the mural, and this is the cherry blossom tree with the butterflies, as well as the last fairy and the flowers. They're pink and white. And I'll get out of the way so you can see it. It really turned out nice. And thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me during this wonderful project, this mural project. And any other work you want to see that I do, you can contact me at www.judypeters.com or contact me on my cell at 610-442-7328. And thanks again. Happy painting.